For centuries, scientists believed they understood the animal kingdom. They wrote textbooks, established rules, and defined the limits of animal intelligence. Then these 7 creatures came along and proved that the animals were studying us all along. Today, we meet the animals that repeatedly fooled, escaped, and outsmarted the world's leading researchers. Creatures so clever, they forced science to rewrite entire chapters of biology. There's a common misconception that humans are the only species capable of complex thought, problem-solving, and deception. But every time scientists declare a behavioral boundary, some animal comes along to shatter it. From apes that learned human language to birds that recognize individual faces. These creatures didn't just surprise researchers, they embarrassed them. Here are 7 animals that made scientists question everything they thought they knew. Animal number 1, clever Hans, the horse that could do math. At number 7, a horse from early 20th century Germany that became a scientific sensation, clever Hans. His owner claimed Hans could solve arithmetic problems, tell time, read German, and even answer questions by tapping his hoof. Scientists investigated extensively, running rigorous tests. They found no tricks, no hidden signals. Hans seemed genuinely capable of mathematics. The scientific community was humiliated. Finally, psychologist Oscar Funkst discovered the truth. Hans couldn't do math at all, but what he could do was read human body language. When people asked a question, they'd unconsciously tense up, and when Hans reached the correct number of taps, they'd relax. Hans was reading micro-expressions so subtle that even the questioners didn't know they were making them. This horse wasn't a mathematician. He was a body language expert who outsmarted every scientist who studied him. Animal number 2. Alex the parrot, the bird who talked back. Number 6 is an African gray parrot named Alex who revolutionized our understanding of avian intelligence. When researcher Irene Pepperberg began working with Alex in the 1970s, scientific consensus held that birds were instinct-driven creatures incapable of complex cognition. Alex proved otherwise. He learned over 100 words, but more importantly, he understood concepts, same and different, bigger and smaller, even the concept of zero. He could identify objects by color, shape, and material simultaneously. During experiments, when bored, he'd tell researchers, "Want to go back," demanding to return to his cage. Once, when another parrot was being tested, Alex shouted, "Say better! Tell him, say better!" He wasn't just repeating sounds. He was thinking, evaluating, and communicating with intention. Alex died in 2007, but his final words to Pepperberg were, "You be good, I love you." A bird had just demonstrated emotional intelligence science said was impossible. Animal number 3, Betty the crow, the toolmaker who changed biology. Number 5 is a New Caledonian crow named Betty, who forced scientists to redefine what tool use means. In 2002, researchers were studying how crows use sticks to extract food. When Betty's male partner flew away with the straight wire they were supposed to use, she was left with only a hooked piece of wire. What happened next astonished everyone. Betty bent the straight hook into a curved tool, then used it to lift a bucket from a tube. This was spontaneous tool manufacture, behavior previously thought unique to humans and great apes. But here's what really shocked scientists. Crows don't naturally encounter wire in the wild. Betty had never seen wire before. She understood the physical properties of an unfamiliar material and modified it to solve a novel problem. She didn't just use a tool, she invented one on the spot, forcing a complete rethink of avian cognition. Animal number 4, the octopus that kept escaping, Inky and friends. Number 4 features multiple octopuses who collectively embarrassed aquariums worldwide. At number 1 is Inky, a New Zealand octopus who became famous for his elaborate escape. After workers left his tank lid slightly ajar, Inky squeezed through a 6-inch gap despite being a 2-foot-long animal, slid across the floor, and crawled down a 150-foot drain pipe to the ocean. But Inky isn't alone. At Santa Monica Pier Aquarium, an octopus named Liberty regularly escaped her tank at night to eat neighboring fish, then returned to her own tank before morning. At the University of Otago, an octopus learned to turn off lights by shooting water at the bulb, shorting the electrical system, because she preferred darkness. Researchers still can't explain how octopuses navigate complex environments outside water, solve novel problems, and remember solutions months later. These animals don't just escape. They plan, execute, and learn from each attempt. Animal number 5, the chimpanzees who outran science, the Bosu chimps. Entering our top 3, a group of chimpanzees in Guinea who've spent decades outsmarting researchers. Scientists wanted to study their tool use, specifically how they crack nuts with stones. But every time researchers set up cameras, the chimps waited until night, carried their nuts and stones into the forest, and cracked them in darkness. They actively avoided observation. When researchers placed tempting fruit in clearings to observe behavior, dominant males posted sentinels while others ate, rotating guards to maintain constant vigilance. But the most embarrassing moment came when researchers built an elaborate platform to observe feeding behavior. The chimps watched the construction with interest, then completely ignored the platform for 2 weeks. When they finally approached, they didn't use it for feeding. They used it as a vantage point to observe the researchers observing them. The scientists weren't studying chimpanzees. The chimpanzees were studying them. Animal number 6, the dolphin who recognized himself, the mirror test revolution. Number 2 is a bottlenose dolphin who changed how we measure self-awareness. The mirror self-recognition test was considered the gold standard for determining if an animal possesses self-awareness. For decades, only humans and great apes passed, until dolphins. Researchers marked dolphins with temporary ink in places they could only see in mirrors. When given access to mirrors, the dolphins immediately twisted and turned to inspect the marks. Clear evidence they recognized themselves, but one dolphin named Pan outsmarted even this test. During experiments, she'd swim to the mirror, examine marks, then swim away. But researchers noticed something odd. She'd sometimes circle back for second glances. Later analysis revealed she was checking if the mirror was still there, essentially confirming the reflection was real before continuing self-examination. She understood not just that she was looking at herself, but that mirrors could be deceptive. This dolphin demonstrated metacognition, thinking about thinking, a level of awareness science had reserved exclusively for humans. Animal number 7, the mimic octopus, the shapeshifter that fooled everyone. Our number 1 animal made scientists realize they'd been looking at octopuses wrong for centuries. The mimic octopus. Discovered only in 1998 off Indonesia, this species does something no other animal does. It impersonates multiple other species depending on the threat. When attacked by damselfish, it mimics a sea snake, flattening its head, hiding 6 arms, and moving like a venomous predator. When facing predatory fish, it mimics a lionfish, spreading arms like venomous spines. It even mimics jellyfish by drifting with arms trailing, changing its entire swimming style. But here's what outsmarted scientists. For years, researchers documented these impersonations separately, thinking they were observing different species. They published papers on sea snake behavior, lionfish sightings, and jellyfish movements. all actually the same octopus. This single animal had fooled multiple teams of PhDs into publishing incorrect science. The mimic octopus wasn't just hiding, it was actively deceiving the scientists studying it. These 7 animals represent more than isolated incidents of cleverness. They force us to confront an uncomfortable truth. Intelligence isn't uniquely human. We're not separate from the animal kingdom, observing it from above. We're participants in a world where other minds are thinking, planning, and sometimes outsmarting us. Every time we declare a boundary, some creature comes along to erase it. Which of these clever creatures amazed you most? Do you think there are animals out there right now outsmarting scientists without us even realizing it? Comment below with your thoughts. I personally can't stop thinking about that octopus that kept escaping. While you're down there, smash that like button if you believe animals are smarter than science gives them credit for. And if you want to meet more creatures that challenge everything we know, subscribe and hit the notification bell. We reveal nature's best-kept secrets every week. Until next time, remember, when you're watching animals, they might just be watching you back.